Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our discussion today. We are going to talk about a question that many people think about. Is practical street smarts more valuable than academic book smarts? It's a really interesting topic with many different opinions. Joining us today are two guests who will share their views. First, we have Tom, who believes strongly in the power of street smarts. And we also have Emily, who will argue for the importance of book smarts and formal education. Each will start with an opening statement. Then we'll have a discussion with some questions. And finally, they'll give their closing thoughts. Let's begin.
Good afternoon, Sarah, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. When we talk about street smarts, I think we mean something very practical. It's the kind of intelligence you learn from real life, from your experiences every day. It's about knowing how to handle different situations, especially unexpected ones, and being able to adapt quickly. Street smarts also involve understanding people and being able to solve problems without always needing a manual or a textbook. My main argument is that these street smarts are incredibly important for navigating our daily lives and overcoming the challenges we all face. Think about it. Everyday life is full of small and big problems that need practical solutions. For example, someone with street smarts might be very good at fixing things around the house when they break, or they might be skilled at negotiating a better price when they're buying something, like a car, or even just items at a market. In a job, someone with street smarts can often understand a new task or a new environment very quickly, even if they haven't been formally trained for that specific thing. They observe, they learn by doing, and they find common sense solutions. These skills, being adaptable, resourceful, and good with people, are essential for everyone, no matter what their job is or where they live. They are the skills that help you manage your life effectively and confidently, every single day.
Good afternoon, Sarah and Tom. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss such an important topic. When I talk about book smarts, I'm referring to the knowledge and understanding we get from formal education, from schools, colleges, and, of course, from reading books and studying. It's about learning facts, understanding theories, and developing critical thinking skills through structured learning. My argument is that book smarts provide a very strong and necessary foundation for deep understanding and for solving complex problems. This kind of knowledge allows us to go beyond just the surface of an issue. For instance, doctors need a huge amount of book smarts to understand human biology, diseases, and treatments. They study for many years to gain this knowledge, which is essential for saving lives. Similarly, engineers who design and build things like bridges or complex machinery rely heavily on book smarts. They need to understand physics, materials, science, and mathematics to ensure their creations are safe and effective. Book smarts also help us to think critically, to analyze information carefully, and to make reasoned judgments. This is vital not just in specialized professions, but in understanding the world around us. Ultimately, this formal knowledge helps us make significant advancements as a society. It allows us to innovate, to create new technologies, and to understand our world on a much deeper level than just everyday experience might allow. It's about building a base of knowledge that can be built upon for future progress.
Tom, Emily, thank you both for those clear opening thoughts. Let's now move into our discussion and consider career success. Tom, how do you believe street smarts help someone succeed in their job? Perhaps even more than qualifications on paper.
That's a great question, Sarah. In my view, street smarts are crucial for job success in many practical ways. Firstly, someone with good street smarts can usually adapt very quickly to new tasks or changes in the workplace. They are not afraid to try new things and learn as they go. Secondly, street smarts often include strong social skills. This means being good at working with different kinds of people, understanding team dynamics, and communicating effectively, which is vital in almost any job. Also, they are excellent at finding practical solutions when things go wrong. Problems happen in every job, and often the solution isn't written in a textbook. Street smart people can think on their feet. For example, think of a manager in a busy shop or restaurant. They might have some qualifications, But it's their street smarts that help them motivate their team, deal with difficult customers calmly, and quickly solve daily operational issues that arise unexpectedly. These are things you don't always learn from a book.
Thank you, Tom. Emily, what's your perspective on that? How does book smarts contribute to career success, especially when we think about long-term achievements and development?
Book smarts are fundamental for long-term career success, especially in many modern professions. They provide the specialized knowledge that is often a requirement to even enter certain fields. Think about careers in law, science, technology, or medicine. You need a deep understanding of specific subjects that comes from years of formal study. This isn't something you can just pick up casually. Furthermore, book smarts help develop critical thinking and analytical skills. These skills allow people to analyze complex problems systematically, evaluate different options, and make well-informed decisions, which is key for advancement. This structured way of thinking also allows for true innovation. New discoveries and advancements are often built upon existing theories and research, which are part of book smarts. For example, a scientist or a researcher uses their extensive academic knowledge and research skills to discover a new medicine or develop a new technology. That kind of impact often requires a strong educational background.
Those are very interesting points from both of you. Tom, Emily mentioned specialized knowledge from formal learning. Can street smarts truly replace that kind of deep academic understanding in complex jobs?
That's a fair point, Emily. I agree that for very specialized jobs, like being a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist, you absolutely need deep formal learning. Street smarts alone won't teach you how to perform surgery. However, I believe street smarts are essential for applying that specialized knowledge effectively in the real world. You can have all the qualifications and book smarts, but if you can't communicate with your team, adapt to unexpected problems, or understand your client's needs, that knowledge isn't as useful as it could be. Many successful entrepreneurs, for example, didn't finish university or have lots of formal qualifications, but they had incredible street smarts. They understood the market, they knew how to connect with people, and they were resilient. They learned by doing and by overcoming challenges.
Emily, what is your response to Tom's point about applying knowledge and the example of successful entrepreneurs?
Tom makes a good point about application being important. However, I think it's not always an either-or situation with entrepreneurs. Many successful entrepreneurs, even if they didn't follow a traditional academic path, often engage in a lot of self-study. They learn about their industry, their market, business management, perhaps not formally, but they are still acquiring knowledge. And while street smarts and practical application are important, a strong foundation of book smarts can make that application more effective and less prone to big, costly mistakes. For complex business strategies or understanding economic trends, some theoretical knowledge is very beneficial. In many complex fields, you can't just wing it with street smarts alone and expect sustainable success. A solid understanding of underlying principles, often gained through book smarts, provides a more reliable path.
All right, let's shift our focus a bit now. We've talked about careers, but what about everyday life and general problem solving? Emily, we all face various challenges in our personal lives. How do you think book smarts help us navigate these situations outside of our jobs?
Book smarts are surprisingly useful in many aspects of our personal lives, not just at work. For example, having a good education can help you understand important health information. When you read about a medical condition or a diet, book smarts help you to critically evaluate the source and understand the advice given. Similarly, managing personal finances can be easier if you have some basic mathematical understanding from your education, like how interest rates work for loans or savings. This can prevent costly mistakes. The critical thinking skills we develop through formal learning are also very valuable. They help you evaluate information you see online or in the news and not be easily fooled by misinformation or scams. Furthermore, a good education often gives you a broader understanding of the world, including history, different cultures, and social issues. This not only enriches your personal life and conversations, but also helps you be a more informed citizen.
That makes sense, Emily. Tom, how does street smarts equip us for these same everyday challenges, perhaps in a different, more hands-on way?
Street smarts are fundamentally about practical, hands-on problem solving in everyday life. For example, if a tap starts leaking at home, someone with street smarts might try to fix it themselves, or at least know how to stop the water to prevent damage before calling a plumber. It's also about knowing how to deal with different social situations, like a disagreement with a neighbor, or how to ask for help effectively if you are in a new city and get lost. These are not things you learn in a classroom. Street smarts involve being good at reading people and understanding situations quickly. This can be very important for personal safety. For example, recognizing a potentially dangerous situation and avoiding it. And it's about being resourceful. If you don't have all the information or the right tools for a problem, street smarts help you think creatively and find a way to manage, perhaps by improvising or finding an alternative solution.
Tom, you highlight many practical skills, but can relying too much on street smarts sometimes lead to overlooking important details that book smarts might provide? For instance, in financial decisions or complex health choices.
Yes, that's a possibility, Sarah. It's true that someone who relies heavily on street smarts might be very good at negotiating a good deal, for example. But perhaps they don't always read all the small print in a contract, which could lead to problems later. Or in health, they might trust their gut feeling or advice from a friend more than looking into research. That's why I think a balance is often good. No one type of smarts has all the answers. However, often, street smart people are also very good at knowing their own limits. A key part of street smarts can be knowing who to ask for expert advice if they don't know something themselves. Recognizing you need help and finding the right person is a valuable skill too.
Emily, that's an interesting point from Tom about knowing who to ask. What about the other side? Can someone with a lot of book smarts sometimes struggle with simple, practical, real-world situations?
Yes, that stereotype of the absent-minded professor definitely exists. Someone who is brilliant with theories but struggles with everyday practical tasks. And sometimes, focusing too much on abstract concepts can make a person less attuned to immediate practicalities. However, I think it's important to remember that book smarts and formal education also teach you how to learn and how to approach new problems systematically. So, if someone with a lot of book smarts finds themselves needing to learn a practical skill, they often have the tools to learn it efficiently if they choose to. It's often more about a person's willingness to apply their learning skills to different areas, rather than a fundamental inability. Book smarts can provide the framework for learning almost anything, including practical skills.
In closing, I want to reiterate that street smarts are truly vital for navigating the real world we live in every day. It's about being able to think on your feet and adapt to whatever life throws at you. The ability to solve practical problems, to understand and interact with people effectively, and to be resourceful when you don't have all the answers. These are the hallmarks of street smarts. These skills are often learned through direct experience, and experience is a very powerful and effective teacher. So, while book smarts certainly have their place and offer valuable knowledge, I believe it's street smarts that help you most directly in your day-to-day life. To not just survive, but to truly thrive. It really comes down to common sense, being practically intelligent, and understanding people. These are skills that are always valuable, no matter what job you have or what situation you find yourself in. Ideally, of course, people might have a good mix of both types of intelligence, but if I had to choose what gives you an immediate edge in many everyday situations and challenges, I would say it's street smarts.
In my closing remarks, I want to emphasize that book smarts, the knowledge and analytical skills gained through education, provide an essential foundational understanding of the world. This is crucial for deep insight and progress. Street smarts are certainly useful for immediate situations, but it is book smarts that equip us with critical thinking skills and the ability to understand complex systems, whether they are scientific, economic, or social. This allows us to look beyond the surface It is this deeper understanding that leads to real progress and innovation in our society. Major advancements in medicine, technology, and our understanding of the universe come from dedicated study and research, which are rooted in book smarts. So while practical skills are helpful, a strong educational foundation is, I believe, more fundamentally valuable for both individual growth and societal advancement. Education opens doors, helps us make informed decisions based on evidence and knowledge, not just on instinct or short-term observations. Ultimately, book smarts empower us to solve the big problems, to build a better, more understood future, and to contribute to society in meaningful and lasting ways. It's an investment in our collective intelligence.
Tom and Emily, thank you both so much for such a lively and insightful discussion today. You've given us a lot to think about. Tom, you strongly emphasized the value of practical, experience-based learning and adaptability that comes with street smarts. Emily, you highlighted the fundamental importance of formal education, critical thinking, and the deep knowledge that book smarts provide. It seems clear from our conversation that both types of intelligence have their own significant strengths and play important roles in different aspects of our lives. Perhaps the ideal is not to choose one over the other, but to recognize that they can, and ideally should, work together, complementing each other. Thank you once again to our speakers, and thank you to our audience for listening.